Welcome to the Monarch Group Podcast. Today's guest is Paul Sagun, a trusted State Farm insurance agent based right here in Louisville. He's passionate about helping homeowners and families protect what matters most. And with everything happening in the insurance world right now, there's no better time to get his insight. Hey, Paul.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
No, I appreciate you being here. I know you have a lot of knowledge, so definitely stuff that people need to hear about.
Sure.
So I'd love to start. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your background, and yeah.
Okay. Well, born and raised here in Louisville. Graduated from Western Kentucky several years ago, and started actually working for State Farm right out of college as a claim rep in the fire company. So I handled homeowners claims. I was here in Louisville, moved to Lexington. From there, I moved to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, in the Human Resources Department. Back to Louisville for a couple of years, and then down to Austin, Texas, where I was part of the Human Resources Department down in the South Texas region. Decided I kind of got tired of the corporate rat race, thought agency would be the best route for me to go. So with that decision to plant my roots somewhere, I decided to come back home. Opened my agency in 2001, started actually in Taylorsville, and then 4 or 5 years into it, moved it into Jefferson County, and I'm located where I've been since then on Barstown Road in the Fern Creek area.
Wow, so you're really like a lifelong State Farm.
I am.
Like
Yes.
That's all you know.
That's all I know. I graduated from college in 92, and State Farm's the only company I've worked for since college.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that shows that, it's got to be a good company if you're going to stay there for that long.
It is.
So what was it out of college that got you into insurance? Was it just an available job?
It was an available job. They interviewed on campus when I was at Western. I had a degree in finance, and back then the job market was pretty tight. So you signed up for any interview you could find, and they happened to hire me, and they have a promote from within philosophy, and I've enjoyed working there, believe in the company, and never really looked anywhere else.
Nice. I love to hear that you've been there for so long and so happy with it.
Yeah.
What would you say sets State Farm apart?
A couple things. Number one, we really, our slogan is like a good neighbor. They do take that to heart. We're a mutual company versus a stock-held company. For example, Allstate. You can go buy stock in Allstate, and Allstate has to answer to stockholders. Being a mutual company, we are owned by our policy owners. So all our decisions are made with the best interests of our customers in mind first. So when it comes to rates, our fiduciary responsibility to our customers, they put the customers first, and they do what's right.
Okay, there's not many companies like that, especially with how big State Farm is. That's kind of surprising.
It is, and sometimes people misread that because we're trying to manage everybody's money. And so there's a saying, the customer's always right. Well, we can't always do that. Everybody has different expectations of what an insurance policy does and what it pays for. We have to follow the rules in each state. We have to file all those things with each state's insurance commissioner's office. So we have to do what's right for everyone.
Got it. Okay. Well, still, at the end of the day, it's still with their best interest in mind as an overall.
Yes.
Okay. Nice. Well, there's a good background. So now you're with State Farm, helping a lot of people with different sorts of policies. We'd love to talk about buyers first.
Sure.
So what should buyers be looking for if they're coming to buy a house, looking for a policy? What's the main thing that...
What we see a lot is they wait till the last minute to get a quote on their home because they're, the paper trail they have to provide for the mortgage company is extensive. I recommend they get ahead of that so they can compare some quotes, because we will send quotes sometimes, and their mortgage contact will say, well, this seems pretty high, or the mortgage person gives them an estimate of what they should be paying per month. They're not licensed in insurance, so they don't know. But we will sit down with them, go over all the options, get the best policy for them, and the best value for their dollar. A lot of times they go for the cheapest. Today that's dangerous to do. 15 years ago, policies were all kind of the same. That's changed. I know we've talked in the past about actual cash value versus replacement cost. A lot of companies have gone to actual cash value on roofs. We're still replacement cost, and that can be a big deal at claim time.
Right.
It might be $200 or $300 on the premium per year, but when a claim happens, it can be thousands of dollars difference.
Yeah, and sometimes people have got that extra few hundred per month, but not the huge amount saved up for a whole new roof.
Correct.
What are the difference? So is there like an ABC when it comes to picking? Like, what are the differences in, like, is it just, obviously it's going to be more coverage the more you spend, but what are those big factors that people should be?
The age of the home is a big deal. Newer homes are going to get a bigger discount for having everything brand new than older homes. Aside from that, a brick home, while you're going to need more coverage on a brick home because it's going to be more expensive to replace, the same amount of coverage on a brick home compared to a siding home is going to be less expensive because brick typically is not going to burn. May have to be cleaned or whatever the case might be, but a siding home is going to burn. So those things. Other than that, maintaining good credit. Credit is a big factor in both homeowners and auto insurance. People buying homes typically have their credit in order, though, so that's not as big of a factor.
Okay, yeah, a lot of people, I'm sure, don't take that credit into consideration. I'm sure they just think, oh, it's insurance, of course I can get it, but
right.
that credit is important.
It is.
And then how does it work for new homeowners tying in their auto policy? What if they've already got car insurance with someone else?
When people call me for a quote and they say they just want it on the home, I let them know I'll quote it that way. I'm going to quote it with your autos also, because if you're just going to do the home, you're probably going to pay too much. The discount on the homeowner's policy for having your autos with State Farm is 35%.
Wow.
It's a big discount,
yeah.
and it's real. Sometimes I think people think we say our discounts are this, that, and the other, and they don't believe they're real. They're real. I've seen people cancel their autos because they saved $50 or $60, and then when their homeowners renew, it goes up $800. So it's important to try to keep those things together.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, it's, especially having everything under one number that you can call it. If something happens, you don't have to go fighting different people. You just got one contact and it all goes through there.
That's correct.
Yeah, and that makes things a lot easier. And when it comes to still buyers looking for the new insurance, what do people typically overlook when going through the policy?
The big ones are like backup of sewer and drain endorsement, earthquake endorsement. I always add backup of sewer and drain and earthquake. I let them know, here, this quote includes that. You can see it's broken down so you know how much it is. If you decide you don't want it, that's fine. If you have a basement in this area, I think backup of sewer and drain is a must. So if your sub pump stops working, electricity goes out, and sewage comes through there, you want coverage. Again, they focus sometimes on that bottom line, and then they don't realize, for example, the example I gave you before with the roofs, they don't realize that it's actual cash value only on the roof versus replacement cost.
And especially with like you said, the weather we've had lately, I'm sure your phone was ringing very busily when it was
the last several years.
Yes, yeah, and it's the things that people think, oh, that'll never happen, or I don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Well, you don't want to have to worry about the things that might not happen because they typically do,
That's
especially
correct.
with how the weather's changing around here. So going through that process, people looking for an insurance agent, what's the difference between going because there's so many websites now and so many, click this for a free insurance quote. What's the difference for you going from in person to the online people?
For us, we know what questions to ask. And a lot of people are unfamiliar with insurance. So when they go online, we'll get those quotes sent to us, and they've overlooked many things. And so we can step them or walk them through step by step, the application, what endorsements are available. Ask them if they need it, what their circumstances are. We obviously let them make those decisions, but we can guide them through the process.
And that makes a big difference as well. So you would go down with that policy they've been quoted and go down, break it down piece by piece so they can compare it to what you're offering and what the online's offering.
That's correct.
Okay, and that's the other thing as well, which is huge, is that you're here.
Right.
If anything goes wrong, you've got a physical address that they can come to.
They can come to us. They can call us. We are the liaison between them and the company, and most of our claims go very well. We're a large company. We have human beings. Sometimes things get off the tracks, but that's why you have an agent. We can act as the go-between, get the information that the claims department needs, and get the claims settled the way it should be.
Nice. And not have to go through a million different phone options of push this button, push that button, which
that's correct.
I know a lot of people get annoyed by that.
Yes,
a lot of people.
they do.
What's other than say shopping around, other than not going through the quote, what mistakes do people make when going through insurance? Obviously shortchanging themselves, but what do you see?
The big ones that when they're buying a house in particular, going for the cheapest price because they don't know what that policy contains. Spoke to someone the other day. They took the cheapest price, and the difference between the policy they had and what State Farm would have paid is about $90,000.
Wow.
And they saved a couple $100 a year.
God, that's a painful mistake.
Yes, that's a big mistake.
So how do you go about approaching someone with that? Because obviously, telling people on the short side is like, hey, you might save $100, but long term, how does that conversation typically go for you?
We hope to get the quotes that they're getting from other companies so we can put them side by side and we can walk them through it. Ultimately, like I said, it's their decision, and we try to just point out the differences and explain this is what it's going to mean at claim time. And a lot of times it works, and people do decide to go with us, and sometimes we are the less expensive option for sure. But we see it a lot when they're buying homes and want to keep that mortgage payment down, that they go with the cheapest.
Yeah, and that can be a costly thing. Now, if someone does go, let's say they're tight on funds and they've only got a certain budget and they have to go for the cheaper, how quick can they renew, like straight away? Can they go to a better policy?
Oh, they can, yes. Okay. I mean, you can cancel midstream. Typically, the other company's going to give you a prorated refund on the premium. We can turn around and build a mortgage company, and that's no problem.
Okay, nice. So at least people have that option that even
Correct.
if after the fact they really take a deep dive and it's like, actually, this isn't a great policy, they can quickly swap over to a better one.
Yes, they can.
And on the rate topics, I know they've increased lately.
Yes.
We've had a lot of extreme weather going on. What are the main things you're seeing about those rate increases, and why are they happening?
Well, there's a couple of reasons, and we get the question a lot. Hey, I hope the fires in California are not raising my rates. And directly, they are not. We don't pay California claims out of Kentucky premium dollars. How it affects the rates here indirectly is that drives up the cost of building materials and labor. So now when a policy renews, we have an endorsement, or it's an inflation factor that keeps the amount of coverage competitive. So if they have $200,000 in coverage and this index has gone up by 5%, we're now going to increase the coverage by 5% to $210,000. So that drives the premium up. And then on top of that, the storm activity that you alluded to in the area it's been going on for the last 5 or 6 years. The claim activity has driven the cost of insurance because insurance companies are paying more out in dollars, and that gets spread across all the customers.
Is there a statistic on how much the companies bringing Invest paid out over the last few years?
We're paying out about double what have brought in. So,
and I know we spoke about this before, but how many of that is where people have made claims where they probably shouldn't have made a claim and probably should have done something else?
That's hard to say. I wouldn't know that. We're going to pay all our claims. Now, when people should file a claim or not, I can't tell them when to. I recommend on the front end, for example, if you're not sure how much the claim is going to be, give it a little bit of time and see what you're looking at. So, for example, somebody breaks into your house. Maybe it's right at your deductible, a little bit over. Maybe that's not one you want to file. But once they call my office, I'm not going to tell somebody not to file a claim. They can file it, we'll investigate it, pay it based on its merit, and of course you have your deductible. When it comes to roofs, if you get a knock on the door from a roofer, I would be very leery. Mm-hmm. Not that you shouldn't have it looked at, but maybe call one that you know, that right. You've reached out to, and go from there. Yeah,
and I know you know some great roofers as well.
Yes.
Either of us to give us a call before, if anyone comes knocking on the door. That's a very important point right there.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of roofing companies pop up over the last few years and taking advantage of a lot of people that probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And when it comes to making a claim, how does that then affect their policy going forward?
Well, when we write a new homeowner's policy and they don't have any claims, they are receiving a claim-free discount. So if they file a claim, they're going to lose that claim-free discount. Insurance companies are leery of people that may turn in a lot of claims, and so you want to be careful because they can non-renew you or cancel you. We just get the notice from our underwriting department. I don't know the rhyme or reason to all that. Now, in Kentucky, you cannot not write somebody or you cannot non-renew somebody because of weather-related claims only. But if they have a combination of weather-related claims and non-weather-related claims, they could put themselves in jeopardy of being canceled.
Wow, and that's scary to think of.
Yes, it is.
How many companies are doing that?
Oh, I think they all do.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So people need to really be cautious on making those claims and make sure that they're doing it for the right reason, not
Correct.
Just to get a few bucks or save a few bucks.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, because in the long run, you're going for. I mean, how would that even work with if they had a mortgage and they were denied?
They go through. There's an assigned risk plan in Kentucky. It's called the FAIR Plan. That they write property insurance for people who cannot get insurance in the open market through a Farm Bureau, Allstate, State Farm, whatever the case might be.
I'm sure, and those premiums are pretty high as well.
Yes.
Wow.
Premiums are high and the coverage is not as good.
That's a double whammy right
Yes,
there. That's
it
not
is.
great.
Yeah.
That's not great. And then we were talking recently about roofs, how that's changing about the certain ages and how that affects your insurance. Could you explain a little bit more about that?
So State Farm is one of the few companies that I'm aware of that is still offering replacement cost coverage on a roof. So if you have a roof damaged by hail or wind and it needs to be replaced because of the damage, let's say it costs $20,000. State Farm is going to pay the $20,000 minus your deductible. Other companies, if the roof is over a certain age, are only offering actual cash value. So let's say it's a 20-year shingle and it's 15 years old. They're going to depreciate at 75%. So they're going to take $15,000 off of the $20,000 replacement cost. Then they're going to apply the deductible. And let's say it's $2,500. So they're going to pay the customer $2,500 for a $20,000 roof. And if they don't get that replaced soon enough, they could cancel them. Wow. And so you might have saved a couple $100 on premium, but now you're out of pocket $17,500 for a roof.
Yes.
That's going to cause problems.
Yeah, and the risk of not being insured as well if they don't
Correct.
get it replaced. And what's that time frame that they have to get it replaced? Is it
each company is going to be different? Typically, you'll see it, and it could depend on how soon the renewal period is after they paid the claim. But let's say they paid the claim in April, and the policy renews in October. They're probably going to expect you to have that done before it renews in October.
Right.
So, but that again, that's an underwriting decision from company to company. So,
Is State Farm going to be changing to that, or are they staying?
I haven't heard anything. We have just gone to a 1% deductible on wind and hail. So if you have $1,000 deductible on everything except wind and hail, it's 1% of the amount of coverage you have on the home. So if you have $500,000 in coverage on the home, that's a $5,000 deductible. But I've not heard anything on replacement cost versus actual cash value.
So that's another reason people should be calling State Farm.
Right.
You don't want to be at risk of only getting $2,500 for a full roof because they do not cost that much these days.
Yeah, they're expensive.
They're a lot higher for sure.
Yes.
Then when weather, obviously it's going to happen, unfortunately, when these issues do come up, whether something happens, you get car broken into, what's the first step that people should do?
Protect their property from further damage. So, for example, wind blows part of the roof off. Your policy will pay for emergency repair. So, these storms seem to happen in the middle of the night. If you call a restoration company and they come out and put a tarp on the roof to secure the property from further damage, that's going to be part of your claim. And then call your insurance company. We'll get an adjuster in touch with you as soon as possible. When we have these tornadoes that reach across 4 or 5 states, sometimes the call volume is very heavy, but they'll get somebody in touch with you to give you some further direction on what to do. Agents will sometimes have the ability to write them a check. So, for example, the tornadoes in London that destroyed neighborhoods, if I were an agent for any of those folks, I would have the ability to go give them an advance on their claim so they can start replacing personal property and things like that.
Oh, wow. And then is it best to call you directly, or is there like a State Farm help number that's a little quick when it comes to...
When it happens after hours, if they use the State Farm app on their smartphone, they can file a claim. They can call my office anytime. If it's after hours, they have the option of hitting 2, I believe, and they'll get a live person. It's a call center. So at a minimum, call my office, whether it's office hours or not.
Okay, and then they've made that claim, like the issues happen, they made the claim. How is your team and your office helping them through that process?
When they need to get documentation to our claims department, we will help them do that. We can upload it into our system, connect it directly to the claim. If there's a discrepancy with what their contractors may be saying needs to be done versus what the adjuster is saying, they can call us with questions. We'll let our claims department know, give them further direction. On roof claims, a lot of times there's a matching issue with shingles. We'll help walk them through and say, okay, here are the steps our claims department's going to ask you to go through. It may sound like it doesn't make sense, but just go through the process, and we'll see if we can get out on the other side the right way.
Okay, now so you'll hold their hand through the entire process, really, because I know there's this, not naming any, but there's insurance companies out there who's like, well, good luck, just call this number and see what happens. And back to that local thing that they can just even go to your office, because I know there's older people who might not want to go through the phones. They could just go to your office and be
we've
like,
got
hey,
a lot of that.
I need some help.
Right.
And that makes a big difference. How far is your service area? Is it just Louisville?
Well, I'm licensed in the state of Kentucky.
Okay.
So most of my business is concentrated in Louisville, Taylorsville, Mount Washington, those areas. But I do have customers throughout the state. Maybe they were here in Louisville and relocated and I'll keep their business.
Okay, nice. And if someone already has a policy that they've had it for 10 years and they don't really know what it is because they just keep renewing, can they submit that to you and say, hey, this is what I've got? Can you?
Absolutely. Now, if they've got a State Farm agent, I recommend they call their State Farm agent. But if they're with another company, we do free reviews all the time. And we will look at their coverages. We'll compare it to what we have to offer. And people sometimes will white out or black out the price they're paying. That doesn't impact us at all. Our quote's going to be what our quote is. Right. And our goal is to make sure they get the right coverage. If we can help save them some money, that's great, but we really want to get the right insurance package for them to protect them.
Nice. That's a comparison is always good, especially
Right.
if it's been so long and there's a lot of people out there who really don't know what they've got.
Oh yeah, they don't. And with the changes that have been made, companies are notifying them in that renewal. How many people sit down and study that? So it would be a good idea to contact somebody to say, hey, can you look at this?
Right. And there's a lot of pages in insurance documents.
Yes.
I know for me,
it's boring for sure.
it's a little, it's another language, it feels
Right.
like as well. So you need to speak to someone who knows it, who can tell you honestly and truthfully, this is what you've got or what you don't have.
Right.
How many people are in your office?
There's 4 of us, myself and 3 others that are fully licensed in property and casualty and life and health. And so with anybody that answers the phone should be able to help you. If they can't, they know who to call, or myself, we will get an answer for you.
Okay, nice. And I know in Louisville there are a fair amount of State Farm agents as well. Why should they call you over one of the other ones?
We take pride in the customer service that we provide. We follow up with our customers. I've been an agent since 2001. I'm growing my business still, but my main focus is to take care of their customers. I'm not growing at the sacrifice of existing customers. We still have people that we will service when they call. If somebody in my office doesn't know them, I don't know the last time that's happened. Somebody in my office knows everybody that's called.
That's awesome.
So,
that's great to have. It's like that family feeling sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And being here so long now, what do you love about working in Louisville and helping people here?
It's my hometown. I love Louisville. I've moved around, and moving around created a little more of an appreciation of Louisville for me. It's where I grew up. My family's here. As far as helping people, I love that part of my job. That's what gets me excited. I've always enjoyed helping people, and I can do that through my agency. And that's the satisfaction I get is when I've helped somebody, and when customers recognize that we're there to help them, get them through a situation, whether it be a better insurance package or getting them through a claim. Having been around since 2001, I've got customers that I remember when they were 5 and 6 years old, and I see them graduate from college and buy a house and get married and have kids of their own, and that's rewarding.
Keep it in the family fold. And I'm sure you go from the parents to the kids and
exactly.
Ensure them all. That's nice, and that definitely says to how good of a job you're doing, which I know I see it all the time, and that's great. Is there anything specific about Louisville that is different to other areas for insurance, or that you see?
Other than the rates, probably are a little bit higher if you move out, and that's because of the traffic and so forth. But other than that, not necessarily. I mean, it's a metropolitan area, and most metropolitan areas are going to have higher rates than rural areas.
Okay. Well, that's nice to know there's not anything out there, not like in Florida where you have to deal with all the tornadoes and stuff like that. If someone were moving to, say, a different state that you're not licensed in, are you still able to sort of help them and get connected?
We'll help them identify an agent, and then we get them in touch with that agent's office, and they have the process to go through to get that business moved over to that state.
Okay. And then, I've got a few more questions for you. When someone's first starting, what's the first thing they should do when going through and looking for a policy?
Contact us, to be honest with you.
I had a feeling that was going to be the answer.
We will get the information we need from them to provide a quote and then go over the options that they have. And again, ultimately, the decision is up to them, but we give them our best recommendation.
How quick's that turnaround time if they're to contact you?
We can have a quote. If they've got the information we need, we can have a quote to them in 15 minutes.
Okay. Wow. What's the typical information?
Well, if it's the home, obviously the address, and then a lot of the information we'll pull from what's at the PVA's office, or we can look at Zillow. So that's all we need there. But we'll need their date of birth, their name. On the auto side, we need the year, make, and model of the vehicles. We need the driver's license numbers of all the household drivers, et cetera. So once we have that, it's just a matter of minutes before we can have a quote.
Okay, that's great, because some people may be in a pinch or just want to.
Oh yeah, we get that all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Is there that? So on that auto, is it discounted just once, or is it if you've got multiple people and multiple cars on it?
You get a multi-car discount. So if you have more than one vehicle, you get a discount every 6 months.
Wow.
And if you have your homeowners or renters, you get that multi-line discount as well all the time.
Nice. There's lots of options.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of discounts.
Yeah, that's great. So people should just take advantage of the full package.
Right.
I know we've already spoke about it, but it just makes it so much easier.
It does. And some people have the attitude that they don't want to have everything with one company. That's fine if that's how they feel, but they're paying more money for it. They're not taking advantage of the discounts, whether it be State Farm, Allstate, Farm Bureau, anybody. They're just not taking advantage of the discounts that are open to them.
Just shortchanging themselves there.
Correct.
Keep some more money in their pocket.
Right.
So being from Louisville, favorite place to eat?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of places.
There are a lot. That's the tough question for Louisville, because there's so many.
For my wife and I, our go-to when it's a special occasion, probably Porcini's.
Okay. Which one's that one?
It's on Frankfurt Avenue, Italian restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Anytime you go Italian, that's always
Yes.
good. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been great having you on here. I'm trying to think if I've got any other questions for you. Is there any one piece of advice, anything that people need to know right now going forward?
My best advice to people right now is to, on a regular basis, review your coverages with your agent. Whether, like I said, State Farm, any up, just get those deck pages out. Contact somebody and go over them. Have them explain it to you. Have them explain any changes, because there have been some. And make sure you know what you have before a claim happens.
Okay, that's good. That's good advice. My advice would be to call you. that's my main
I
advice.
appreciate that. Yeah. We'll take all the calls we can get.
Have you met Jake?
And well, I've got a big cardboard placard of him. I've been in the same building with him at our convention. He's actually a really super down to earth, nice guy.
Okay. Does he go to all the conventions?
Oh, yes.
Times? Okay. I'm sure.
Yes.
I'm sure everyone wants to see him. Like
I mean, he's got to be on all the time.
Yeah.
I forgot his real name. I
know it's not Jake.
No, it's not Jake. But that character, that's created his life.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Jake all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's probably in every single commercial.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's all one with Jimmy Fallon.
There's Jimmy Fallon. There's, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger. LeBron was there for a little while. Patrick Mahomes.
And he's with all of them, isn't he? Like
yeah.
he's a State Farm celebrity for sure.
Right.
Yeah, that's good for him.
Yeah.
So if someone's wanting to get their insurance, wanting to reach out to you, what's the best way they can get hold of you?
Best way is to call us at 502-239-7120. They can go to paulsagun.com. That's my website. It's State Farm, but it's specific to my agency. Or feel free to stop in. We're next door to St. Gabriel Catholic Church on Barstown Road.
Awesome. Well, Paul, thank you so much for being on. It's a pleasure. Appreciate everything you do for us and our clients, and people should definitely give you a call.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
So all the watchers out there, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.